Yo, book nerds! The season of love is upon us. Isn't it wonderful? Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I've even got pink nails to celebrate. Actually, I got my nails done because I had maternity pictures. So, no, I am not normally this festive for Valentine's Day. I know that in February, a lot of people like to read romances. Honestly, I don't read a lot of romance. And when I do, they're normally classics. So, like, modern romance is not really something that I read a ton of at all. So, I don't really have any recommendations to give you. However, in honor of Valentine's Day and in honor of love, I thought I would do a video on some literary couples that I love. This is by no means a complete list. I just sat down and wrote down the ones that came to mind first. They also won't be in any particular order, but these are just some couples that I personally really love and I think they're great. And hopefully you think the same. And if you don't, oh well. In love and in books, we all have different tastes, don't we? That's okay. Before we kick this off, let me say that if you watch this, there may be some spoilers because obviously to be a couple, they have to be together and they may not have started off together at the beginning of the book. So watch this knowing that I may spoil something for you. Take that with a grain of salt. So like I said, not in any particular order or anything, but one of the couples that I personally love is Landon and Jamie in A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. Do Landon and Jamie have the best relationship? No. It starts off extremely rocky, but they're teenagers. And I think that Landon redeems himself. He makes up for his mistakes, he owns them, and I think he treats Jamie with such respect. And Jamie, in turn, just loves Landon. And she sees the good in him and doesn't believe what's just on the surface. And I think that their relationship grows and develops through the story in such a beautiful way. And the ending is heartbreaking. And I think that their love is just what's so beautiful. It gets them through these hard things. And it sustains Landon after he loses Jamie. It's pure but not perfect, and that's why I love their relationship so much. Up next, we've got a couple more teenagers. We've got Ron and Hermione. I know that a lot of people wanted Hermione to end up with Harry. I did not. I was so glad that Hermione ended up with Ron. And again, just like in A Walk to Remember, their relationship does not start out great. They start off bickering and their friendship grows first. And I love that they were friends for a while. And then that friendship turned into a romance and it turned into love. And so I think that is beautiful. And I think it happens so naturally. And again, it's not perfect. And that's why I love their relationship so much. I think that they have a strong foundation as friends and they work together and they complement each other. And I just love their relationship. And I just love watching their relationship change over the entire series. And I love the way that it ended. And so, yeah, I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I really love Ron and Hermione together. I don't think it would have been as satisfying if Harry had ended up with Hermione. I think it would have been too obvious. I think it would have been overdone that the main character gets the girl. So I think that it ended the way it should have. I love Ron and Hermione. Then we have Mr. and Mrs. March in Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So even though we don't really see Mr. and Mrs. March a lot through the book, you see Mrs. March more than Mr. March, but you get this picture of their marriage and their love that I think is so beautiful. So this book takes place during the Civil War, and Mr. March has to go off because of the war. And I think that Mrs. March's devotion to him and support of him is beautiful. And I think Mr. March returns that love in such a beautiful way too. He writes home all the time, and he's not afraid to talk about his feelings, and he talks about his love for his wife and his daughters. And I think it's just a wonderful relationship that shows how to support your spouse and love them. And when Mr. March gets really sick, Mrs. March goes to him immediately. Like, she is there, she takes care of him, she's with him through thick and thin, sickness and health. Like, she embodies her marriage vows, and so does Mr. March. Like, he takes care of her too. He helps her grow as a person. They have this just wonderful relationship. I think their relationship is one that any couple should model theirs on. They have the support and they have that love. And anything that comes their way, they face it together, even when they're not physically together, even when they're separated. They know that they have each other through everything. And it's wonderful. I love it. Now we have my favorite book of all time, which is Pride and Prejudice. And so, of course, I have to talk about Lizzie and Mr. Darcy. I love Mr. Darcy so much. I love him. I seriously cannot get enough of Mr. Darcy. And Lizzie is me. So, like, I just love this story because I relate so hard to Lizzie. But anyway, I love their relationship. It starts off, again, really rocky. Like, they don't get along. They have misconceptions about each other, but it's not like a typical enemies to lovers trope, I feel. I feel like they misunderstand each other and they get defensive, but eventually they learn, they grow, they understand each other's motivations. They honestly listen to each other and hear each other's side, and they may not agree, but it helps them to grow closer. And then they realize that their misconceptions were wrong and they fall in love with each other. And I think it's just such a beautiful story. I seriously just can't get enough of them. I love Mr. Darcy. I can't help it. He's my favorite. And I love Lizzie too. I just think that their relationship is one built to last. And then the last couple that I have on my list is Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler from Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. Their relationship is by no means ideal. I can't, in good conscience, tell you to model your relationship on them. However, I do think that Rhett says it best, that they were made for each other. I think that they are the same person. I think that Rhett and Scarlett belong together. They have a very toxic relationship, I'll be honest. So, like, again, in good conscience, I can't tell you to model your relationship after them. But I think when it comes down to two people that were meant for each other, it was them. They are both independent, strong-willed, willing to do whatever they can to get to where they want. And they just, they're not good people. I honestly think Rhett is a better person than Scarlett, but Scarlett has a better reputation than Rhett. But, I love them together. I really do. I think that their relationship would have been built to last if Scarlett would have grown up and not been so childish. And if tragedy hadn't struck them and driven a big wedge between them. So yeah, I still love them as a couple. I think they're so entertaining and wonderful. And again, don't model your relationship on them, but I do love them as a couple together. So there you have it. There's 5 literary couples that I love. I hope you love them too. If you don't, that's fine. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree, and let me know what other literary couples you admire and why. I would love to know. I hope everyone has a really nice Valentine's Day. I think you don't have to be with someone to enjoy Valentine's Day. If you're single, make it about you and have a nice self-love day. And if you are with someone, I hope you guys have a nice time celebrating. And I hope that everyone watching this video has happiness and love in their life, whatever that looks like. I'll talk to you guys next Monday. Hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for talking books with me.